Olena, this is when we first met, and Alex, you haven't seen this.
We first met Olena Sobchenko in March during the early harrowing days of the war. Like so many others crowding the train platforms in Lviv, Ukraine, Olena was terrified of Russian rockets and the sudden shelling. In those panicked first days, she made the agonizing decision to flee, leaving her husband Alex behind.
Was it difficult to make the decision to leave?
It was very difficult to make a decision because I have my husband here. So I know that we're gonna have a good future, but I have to be strong.
Where is he?
In Bieltsarko, at home.
The feelings are nearly as raw today. Her plan was to get to Poland with her 18-month-old son Max and then onward.
Where are you trying to go?
We are trying to go to Canada to our relatives because they are waiting for us there.
She'd spent time in Canada as a teenager with her mum. But the separation from her husband and her home was hard.
I'm sad and I'm angry.
Immigration wasn't viable, it turned out, so 4 months later, Olena made another choice. To go back to their home in Ukraine, to their life still at war.
This is where you lived before as well?
Yeah, that's our place.
It was a risk, but even harder was staying away.
It was hard without husband, so I was thinking about all of the people in Ukraine, about my husband. I really had some feelings of guiltiness, so I felt guiltiness for being there and for being safe.
You felt guilty?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It's some kind of psychological, I guess, concern or issue. I really felt guilty for all of my people, which, staying here and which are suffering of all of this, consequence.
Life outside Ukraine with a baby in a refugee center took its toll. Just living day to day.
There wasn't no possibilities to stay in good conditions in Poland, actually. I couldn't pay for apartment, the price was a little high, and kindergarten wasn't free. So I was thinking about coming home, and to be honest, we were coming back in fear, I guess. So that wasn't okay, I go home and I feel okay. No, I felt really scary during our trip in the train.
And why were you afraid on that train ride?
I was afraid for any explosions, anything that Russia can do.
Mm-hmm. How did you get over that fear?
Maybe praying.
The war came close to their home, but now checkpoints are more relaxed, the trench is no longer needed, and nearby, where rockets slammed into a residential neighborhood, reconstruction has started.
And how is it now here? Do you feel safe?
How to say, maybe 50-50.
But the air raid sirens are still frequent, and they worry.
Sometimes Max trying to even repeat the sound, he's going like wolf, woo. So I'm saying to myself, okay, that he's not afraid, but he's trying to repeat the sound. Yeah, in the middle of the night, we're trying to check, is everything okay outside? Is it safe to sleep? Some of our regions, some of our towns are still under attack. People are still dying, so we are not 100% safe here.
Olena feels safer, close to her husband, but confesses she still suffers from anxiety attacks. She's reluctant to go to a bomb shelter because being underground terrifies her. Making a living in this war economy is tough. Her English tutoring classes online pay barely enough to keep them in groceries. But she's learned something critical about her country and coping.
I couldn't believe that the Ukrainian nation is so powerful and so strong. I couldn't believe that we can be so united together. So right now I'm really proud of Ukraine. I'm really proud of Ukrainian people that they are still fighting, that they are still fighting to the end.
And you accept that this will be a long war still?
Yeah, I accept it because what I can see, it's not an easy conflict.
Last March, Olena was sure she had to escape with Max. In a volunteer's arms, they boarded the train heading to an uncertain future. Just like crowds of Ukrainian women and children.
Максик там? Це Максик там, так? Це Максик? Ти бачив?
The future isn't any more fixed now, except that Olena is part of the pilgrimage back. Ukrainians who've returned, still on a war footing, but reunited.
Alex, are you glad they made it back?
Довольна, що ми приїхали. He's so happy.
Я ждав цього дня.
He was waiting for this day.
Я вірив, що ми зустрінемося.
He believed that we will meet each other. Максик.
Susan, how many Ukrainians are like Olena returning to a country at war?
Ian, it's very, very fluid. But for example, in the early summer, more people were returning than leaving, over 30,000 a day, according to the border force. And the majority, of course, were women because men still can't leave. Just as an example, in the capital, Kyiv, the mayor estimates that 2/3 of those who left have now returned. And we hear a lot of people talking about we're getting used to the war. And that normalization is fraught because the economy is still struggling and there's still chronic fear. I mean, we spoke to Ukrainians near Mykolaiv in the south and Kharkiv in the east who were just now leaving, terrified after a fresh barrage of rockets, most heading to central and western Ukraine, perceived as being safer. But with winter coming and warnings of fuel shortages, we've all heard them, some mayors are saying, please leave rather than suffer through a cold, dark winter. And there are still many millions of Ukrainians displaced.
Thanks, Susan.
Okay.